Jésus s'est-il trompé en annonçant la fin du monde pour imminente?
Apostolate Jesus 52. Jesus wrong in announcing the imminent end of the world? Was Jesus wrong in announcing the end of the world for imminent? It is very clear when we read the Gospels, we see it. He says, "This generation will not go by until all is accomplished. The Son of Man, his return will be like lightning from the east to the west. On that day, 2 women will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left." The speech was so clear that St. Paul tells that some, at some point, since the return of Christ was for some time, weren't even getting married. He had to crack down on them and write a letter, second letter to the Thessalonians, chapter 2, where he said, "Do not be taken by all kinds of rumors which say, even coming from the Holy Spirit, that his return is close, because before, there must come the ungodly being, the one who stands up against God, the Antichrist, in other words." So long after, during the lifetime of a few other apostles, some mocked, saying, "Where is the promise of its advent?" And they didn't care about the heads of Christians. But you should know that in every era until now, noise is coming from the Holy Spirit, but also from great saints canonized as, for example, in the 15th century, Saint Vincent Ferrier, canonized, as being the angel who says, "No more delay." Well, these people announced the end of the world for their generation. A person, to confirm what he had announced, because at the era, popes forbade we can give it dates as of late. And the woman confirmed, "Yes, Father, the end of the world is for our time," and he asked, "Do you prefer to return to the Lord or stay with us?" She would prefer to die, and she returned to the Lord. What makes us take the words of the Lord for errors or that of Saint Vincent Ferrier? This is because we are too political. That means that when we hear about the end of the world, we immediately aim for the third meaning of this expression, the end of the ends, in the last generation, when it comes back for everyone. World at the same time. But the meaning that this text takes is not only this one. I recall what I said at the beginning. On that day 2 women will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. What does that mean? Very simply. Some said, it means one goes to heaven and the other to hell. No, that means that one dies and the other is there, very stupid, in front of his friend who has just died. It is also individual death. There is evidence since, at some point, the first martyr, I believe it was Saint Etienne, just before being stoned, sees with his eyes the Christ who returns in his glory, because he can show themselves in the passage of death, just before, during, or sometimes a little later when the heart is already stopped. So Christ was not mistaken. The end of the world is first of all for each of us in less than, for those who are 20 years old, let's say 80 years old, since if they die at 100 years old, they will see it with their own eyes. It is therefore imminent. It is nothing at all, especially since the childhood years are very long psychologically. The years of old age seem very short.
C'est donc imminent. Ce n'est rien du tout, d'autant plus que les années de l'enfance sont très longues psychologiquement. Les années de la vieillesse paraissent très courtes.